Osceola County School Board meeting to order for Tuesday, February 5th at 5:30. We begin each meeting with an invocation, which will be led by Eric Skelton from the Church of Nazarene. Eric, there's Eric. That'll be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, led by Nate Fancher. And our national anthem for the second time today, Jabari Lewis, who sang this morning to the with three others of his colleagues for the State of Education.
And killed it.
And killed it and did a beautiful job. Our mission statement will be read by Melanie Stefanowitz, and our translation service will be handled by Belinda Reyes. There you are, okay. So we will go ahead and start. If you all just rise.
Yep. Use the microphone. All right.
Perfect.
That or I can use my loud preacher voice, one or the other. At the end of the prayer, because you asked for a Christian pastor, I believe we're all going to be praying to the same God. And so at the end of the prayer, I'm going to ask that we'd all participate together. And the word amen, which we know sometimes means the end, like we hang up the phone. That's not really the case. It means that we agree together. So when we end, I'm going to ask that we would all say together, amen, if you're comfortable with that, okay? Jesus, we love you today, and Father, we are so grateful and thankful just for who you are. You are a good God. Father, I thank you for this time that you've appointed where we can meet and talk and discuss and think and plan and use wisdom that's a gift from you. Father, I pray that you would be with each and every one who is here tonight, with our elected leaders, with those who are in seats serving. I pray for our administrators. I pray for our teachers. I pray for everyone, even down to those who sweep and mop the floor. God, each and every one is important in your sight. Father, I pray that you would use them according to the gifts that you've given them. Father, we ask that you would give more wisdom, that everything tonight would be done to your will and to your purpose. God, I ask that you would allow us to have this time tonight, and that we would be absolutely perfect in everything that we do, not because of who we are, but because of who you are. Father, we pray for each and every student. We pray for each and every parent and grandparent and caretaker, God. Would you bless each one immensely? Would you allow the time that is served in education be fruitful, God? Would you rise up new leaders? Would you rise up new people that would take on the role and lead others to a place of knowledge? Now, Father, I ask, be with us tonight. Watch over us, protect us, give us guidance and direction. And we pray everything in his name, and we all say together, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as we say in St. Cloud each and every day, have a fantastic Bulldog Day.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I just wanted to invite you all to our Arts Alive showcase. It's April 12th, I believe.
Thank you.
I'm performing along with a lot of my colleagues in high school. Musical theater and a lot of other artistic departments.
Thank you. Good move. I like the initiative.
Yes. Look how cute that is.
Melanie,
Oh, yes. My daughter goes.
you may be seated.
Good evening. The School District of Osceola County's mission is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Legislation Services. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Brenda Flores y estoy aquí para proveer servicios de
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. And that brings us to the board. Board members, any comments? I'll start to my right. Mr. Weiser?
Obviously, I think we'll all probably say something like this, but as always, the Osceola State of Education is a real blessing for us to participate in and to share with our community about the great work that's taking place every single day on each campus, each building, each facility, on each bus, with each student and each teacher and each person that's investing in the lives of our community. And so, as always, it's a tremendous joy for me to participate in that. Community Relations and IT did a great job of pulling everything together. There were a lot of moving parts if you weren't there this morning with live streaming and interactive classrooms, and so a lot of things could have gone wrong, and yet nothing did, and everything went exceptionally well. So grateful. Board, I want to compliment you as well. You guys all did an exceptional job in your respective presentations. Your videos turned out well, and as I shared earlier on social media, I'm really grateful that I serve with such an exceptional board and with great leaders in this community that choose to make a difference every single day in the lives of our kids and our community as a whole. So, thank you.
I just need to add on to that because it was exceptional what the communication staff was able to put together today, and I want to thank them, Dana and the team. They did a fantastic job. Again, I think I said it when we were up over in Tampa when they hosted the seminar about what we're doing here in Osceola County for social media. Had other school board members from across the state telling me I've been coming to this conference for 4 or 5 years now, and that's the best seminar that I've sat through. Today, today I heard some of that as well afterwards. This is the best state of ed that I've been to. This was fantastic. Now Dana's just going to be worried about what she can do for next year to top herself. She shouldn't. She should take a couple days to really enjoy what she put together today, because they did such a fantastic job in bringing in all the IT guys, as Mr. Weisshire said, to get that done, Skyping in from 5 different classrooms and having it go off pretty much without a hitch. So congratulations to those guys. Thank you for showcasing Osceola County School District today. You did a fantastic job. I know CT was involved and all you guys, CTE, excuse me. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just be clear, you're giving her till Thursday or Friday?
Friday.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I too want to express my gratitude, appreciation for all the hard work, all the time and hard work that was put into the State of Education event. It was wonderful. Big well done to everyone.
And I think we are, like Mr. Weisshire said, we are definitely all going to say the same thing. But for me, it was a great production, of course. And if you have a chance to watch it, please do. There's a lot of good information there, and it's quite entertaining. But for me, I think what was really important and what really caught my heart is how the entire community came together, and we were able to see how many moving parts are not just in making this production, but also in educating our children and all of the people that are involved in ensuring that our kids are safe, that our kids have everything that they need. So for me, it was more about getting to share that experience with our community at large. And I am so grateful to be a board member here in Osceola County, because we truly put education first, and that makes me very proud.
Yes, and somebody from the crowd reminded me, I won't tell you who, Miss Jackson, thank you. The Harmony cheerleaders, Harmony High School cheerleaders were the state champs over, I think that happened on, give them a big round of applause. I'm sure we'll have them here. I think that happened on Thursday night, because that was the same night as the 9th grade orientation out at Harmony High School. So thank you, Miss Jackson, and congratulations to the Harmony High School cheerleading team, Florida State champions.
And everybody gets 2 shots. Mr. West?
Yeah, no.
Thank you. I'm going to need it. I did want to just say, I know, Sherry, you'll share something later, but thank you, as always, for what you do. And each one of us that participated in the State of Education this morning were greeted by some very kind and loving people. And it really is a nice treat and surprise. And you think about the message that it sends to all of these stakeholders that pulled into one of our campuses and had Miss Recca and a whole team of people out there holding up signs and welcoming them and expressing kindness and gratitude towards them. And I know you guys had to get up extra early too to be there, and so I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you. That little detail, as is as sometimes it can just be overlooked, was not lost on me, and I think made a big difference in how people felt as they approached the event today as well.
Thank you. That was OXA's staff that was out there with me, so thank you.
Well, good job, OXA.
Yep. Dr. Pace?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Thacker and members of the board. I don't want to appear redundant, but I do want to again compliment the board as well as staff for the tremendous effort this morning that went into our State of Education event. We had over 400 community members in attendance to really get to see through virtual field trips the work that's happening in our classrooms with our students, with our teachers, with our principals every day. And board, I would just like to again say that it's great evidence of the tremendous team that you have allowed me to build here in the school district, because obviously while our community relations team always takes the lead on this event, it was a tremendous partnership with IT, with CTE, with OXA, with School of Nutrition Services, and everybody just pitched in and lent a helping hand whenever they needed to help make it all come together. So I want to thank you, board, for your continued support. I did also want to share that last week I had the opportunity after our last board meeting to meet with our senior focus group of students that represent seniors from every high school in the district. Just always an amazing opportunity to listen to what's going well for them in their schools, what their dreams are, their passions are, and how we can continue to get better at what we're doing to serve them. But already within that group, we have a full ride to Yale. Wow. We have a full ride to Duke, both through the Questbridge Scholarship Program. We have others who are in final interviews for Yale, some waiting on FSU, UF, those acceptance letters UCF that are coming out now. We have one playing football at UF already committed, one going to Tufts, one already committed to either Notre Dame or Harvard, and another one to Boston University. So just a tremendous evidence again of the great work that we've done with Gott College and opening up doors and minds for all of our students across the district. So thank you.
Thank you. And Matt, I know this is your third meeting. We usually give you a shot at the end of the meeting, which we can do too, but do you have any comments you'd like
No.
at this point? If you don't, that's fine too. Okay. And Mr. Weishauer, you stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to mention Ms. Rekka's group waving. I've kind of had a bad couple weeks here, and I do have to say pulling in today and having all y'all stand there put a smile on my face, and I appreciate that very much. I appreciate the effort. So it did make a difference to me. Board, everybody else want to go twice? Are we good?
No.
So, if not, we will move on to our presentations. Our first presentation, Ms. Graber for Wells Fargo.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Pace, leadership team. I am thrilled to be able to announce to you tonight that I am bringing you money this time. As you guys know, part of our strategic plan has been to bring in additional revenue sources, and one of those strategies is related to an electronic payment rebate program. So we have grown our rebate program significantly over the past 2 years. Our accounts payable department is all here tonight. Huge kudos to them. This has really been their initial idea and their effort entirely. We have not added any staff in order to do this. We are simply changing our processes and making a lot of our vendor payments through an electronic credit card payment option rather than cutting the checks, stuffing the envelopes, mailing them, vendors having to wait for their check to arrive in the mail. So it's more timely as well. But our friends from Wells Fargo are here tonight, and they are here to present an annual check to you all. It is on a calendar year basis, and I will turn it over to Todd to announce how much we've earned.
So they don't know how much it is? Okay, so now they say. Anyways, I'm Todd Morley from Wells Fargo Bank, and I'm the relationship manager for the district. And so we're presenting tonight a check for $560,000, $613 and 7 cents.
560, we're all going down.
And I should say, this doesn't just happen. I mean, it's taking Sarah's
Y'all come in
direction and your AP staff.
Well, they're the ones who need to be in the picture.
Yeah, here.
You guys.
People who make it happen up there. Got us, Dana?
That's good.
Take my glasses off before Jay yells at me.
Thank you again to all of you for this
Thank you.
special
Thank you
event.
very
That's,
much.
You know, more than double what we anticipated,
you.
so we're very excited about it.
Thank you very much. That's great for us.
Great team, so, nice job.
Yes, they are.
As you're all walking back up, I did also just want to mention that on the consent agenda tonight is an amendment to our contract for this program. Wells Fargo has offered to renegotiate the rate that we earn as we continue to grow the program. So we are fully expecting that amount to increase again next year.
Great.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Redka, February Kindness Month proclamation.
Thank
You
you.
get to go twice in one day.
Yes,
Sort of.
I have some special guests with me tonight. They're going to read our kindness proclamation. This is Ashley McNaughton and Bailey Couch. They're 7th grade students at St. Cloud Middle School, and so they're going to read the proclamation. Go ahead, ladies.
Whereas any day, week, or month is a good time to remind all of us of the need to remember that kindness is an essential ingredient in the creation and maintenance of a civilized society. Whereas in the heart of all of us lies the idea that we hold the power of kindness within us, and whereas by knowing, understanding, and actually using this power, we have the ability to send out a positive ripple that may travel for miles. And
whereas through random acts of kindness, we can promote healthy behaviors and positive attitudes within our schools, and whereas we seek to cultivate caring, kindness, and compassion within our schools and community through our students and staff members by teaching them to make a difference through random acts of kindness. Now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Osceola County, Florida proclaims the month of February 2019 as Kindness Month.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr. Weishire. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none. All the,
Well, let me say this
I'm
before
sorry.
we
I'm
vote.
sorry. I apologize.
If you want to come up and take a picture, come on. While they're standing there, you won't interrupt the meeting.
No, you want to interrupt it. I'm going to stop as soon as we vote anyway, so you'll have a chance.
I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, that's, have a motion by Mr. Booth, second by Mr. Weishire. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. Ashley and Bailey, great job. That was really good. You
Congratulations.
did a really
Thank
good
you.
job. Oh, okay, I didn't see it. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you all. Next, Ms. Stefanowitz, we have a proclamation of the Adult Education and Family Literacy Week in recognition of Kiara Kobe.
Thank you, Mr. Thacker. Thank you, Board, for having us here tonight. We are declaring this week is Adult Education Family Literacy Week, which is a public awareness campaign that takes place annually to celebrate the value of adult education and the achievements and accomplishments of adult education programs across the country and locally. To honor our adult education programs, the Council on Adult Basic Education issued a proclamation celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. I have with me tonight, excuse me, Miss Kiara Kobe. She's going to come up and join me. She's going to read the proclamation for us. Kiara graduated from ALCO last May. She has transitioned, I'm so proud, sorry. She has transitioned to the Future Teacher Education Program at Valencia, will then transition to UCF and come back and teach in Osceola County. She was also, yes. She was also recognized in September by the Adult and Community Education Foundation, which is my professional association for the state of Florida, as being a Sunshine State Scholar. So I'm going to turn it over to Kiara.
thank you. Honorary Proclamation. National Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, February 5th, 2019. Whereas more than 36 million Americans can't read or write at the most basic level, while 60 million lack basic math skills, as well as credentials and skills necessary to succeed in post-secondary education. And whereas every year, 1 in 3 young adults drop out of high school. And whereas American Action Forum estimates that by 2020, America
will be short an estimated 7.5 million private sector workers across all skill levels. And whereas adult education programs contribute to solving all these challenges by helping Americans move along the continuum in their educational journey to achieve basic skills and get prepared for career and college. And whereas adult education programs in adult schools, community colleges, and community centers offer low-cost, high-value programs that upgrade the skills set for our citizens. Whereas the Adult Learning Center of Osceola provides English language and adult basic education services to over 3,600 adult students annually. And whereas the Technical Education Center of Osceola provides post-secondary educational opportunities that lead to high-skill, high-wage employment to over 850 students annually. And whereas the School District of Osceola County celebrates Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. As a proud participant in the National Educate and Elevate campaign, which helps our citizens learn about all of their adult education options to obtain their professional and personal goals. Now, therefore, the School District of Osceola County proclaims February 5th, 2019 as Adult and Family Literacy Week.
Second.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Weishauer to approve the proclamation with a second by Ms. Castillo. Board, any further discussion?
Just congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, very proud of you. And when you think of some of the problems this community's got with homelessness and some of these things, this is the answer to a lot of those problems, is education. And I applaud you for the effort I know it has taken to get here. So, Board, any other comments?
Thank you for wanting to be an educator.
Thank
Yes.
you.
We really appreciate it and can't wait to have you.
That's right.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Just don't go to St. Cloud High School. Oh, he's still back there.
We have a motion by Ms. Wire, second by Ms. Castillo. Board, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0.
Great job.
Great job. Board.
We're going to keep going. As you know, February is CTE month, so we're going to make this day all about CTE, apparently. As you've learned in the past, CTE month is a public awareness campaign that takes place each February to celebrate the value of CTE and the achievements and accomplishments of CTE programs across the country. To honor CTE, we've showcased our industrial programs for you today. And I have two students from St. Cloud High School's carpentry class who are going to share the proclamation with you. We have Sheila Trainer and Noah Merdinger from Mr. Henninger's class. Come on up, you guys.
Before you start, I want you to know I love St. Cloud High School.
Whereas profound economic and technological changes in our society are rapidly reflected in the structure and nature of work, placing new and additional responsibilities on our educational system. And whereas the efforts of career and technical educators, business and industry stimulate the growth and vitality of our local economy and that of the entire nation by preparing graduates for careers that are forecast to experience the largest and fastest growth in the next decade. And whereas career and technical education serves as the backbone of a strong, well-educated workforce and contributes to America's leadership in the international marketplace. And whereas the workers of tomorrow are in our classrooms today, career and technical education provides Floridians with a school-to-careers connection, helping students experience practical and meaningful applications of any number of skills. And whereas 14,635 secondary students enrolled in career and technical education programs and 1,135 post-secondary students enrolled in career and technical education programs in Osceola County schools engage in this type of meaningful education.
And whereas all STOC secondary schools and the Osceola Technical College offer career and technical education courses. And whereas more than 14,885 secondary and dual enrollment students are enrolled in one of over 219 registered career-themed courses. And whereas STOC students have earned over 2,500 industry certifications and digital tool certificates during the 2017-2018 school year. And whereas the Osceola Technical College accepted the Ready, Set, Work Guarantee Challenge to guarantee businesses that their workers will be ready to work on the very first day of the job, or will be retrained at no cost to the business or the student. And whereas career and technical education offers individuals lifelong opportunities to learn new skills, providing career choices and potential satisfaction. Now, therefore, the School District of Osceola County proclaims February 2019 as Career and Technical Education Month.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr. Weishauer to approve the proclamation. Board, any other comments or questions?
What class are you two in?
Carpentry.
Carpentry.
Yeah.
You're in carpentry.
Construction.
Construction
Yes.
management.
Yeah.
There we go. That's fantastic. I know they have a great masonry program, carpentry program, construction management program, a business academy, a teachers academy. They got it going on at St. Cloud High School. Mr. Weiss.
What school's that?
Yeah. Congratulations, you guys did a great job.
Congratulations, great job.
Great job.
And I think there's some people who'd like to take pictures, so if y'all want to come in the middle and have them turn around, that will be fine. We have time for that, certainly. So, and while you do that, we will go ahead and take our vote. Board, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Great job reading. Thank you all very much. Thank you all. Good job.
So funny.
That concludes our presentations. We are now open for public comment. It is a good time if you do want to exit. If you do wish to address the board, this would be the time to do it. You need to fill out a little yellow sheet of paper on the back and just bring that up. There's still time to do that.
Ms. Culver right here.
And we will begin with Amy Wood. I need you to state your name and address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Amy Wood, and I am at 1378 Kiowa Street, Celebration, Florida.
Give them 1 second to just leave so we
Absolutely.
can hear you better.
Girls behave.
No,
Little learning opportunity for my kids.
there you go. All right, cool.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing me this time to share my concerns regarding the start time proposal for next year. My purpose is quite simple. As a taxpayer, voter, and parent of 4 children enrolled in the Osceola School District, I feel it is my right to have a voice when outside matters impact my family. This proposal, should it pass, will do just that. Let me explain. We are a 2-income family. We both have varying schedules. My husband travels with his job, and I work for an hourly wage. When he travels, I'm on my own. This leaves the task of getting our kids to school on time. For some within the district, they have the option of a school bus ride. For us, that's not an option because we live 1.8 miles from school, so we fall within that 2-mile zone. Another option is to bike or walk to school. Again, not an option for us. My youngest is 7. Should her sister become ill, then she's on her own to walk 1.8 miles by herself. We're now left with drop-offs and pickups by me if my husband is gone. You know, we tag team it when he's there. Under this new proposal, there's going to be a 2-hour spread between drop-off of my older children and drop-off with my younger children. So 7:20 for the oldest 2, 9:20 for my youngest 2. Same spread in the afternoon for pickup. It was going to be hard enough with that 1-hour spread, but now the 2-hour proposal is going to really throw me for a loop. Add this, I have a full work day as well. So we're talking 4 hours at least for drop-off and pickup duties. Another option is the before school care. Some may say, well, just drop them off in the morning and there you go. It's not a financially sound decision for me and my family. It impacts us financially to do so, so that's not an option either. But enough about me. Let's look at the school level. Please consider how this will affect the lunch situation. As it is, my youngest eats lunch at around 11, and the oldest eat lunch at 1:45. Will the cafeteria staff need to come in order to accommodate this new start time? How will this impact the times that our kids will be having lunch? How do you propose the kids take ballet, tap, soccer, art, eat dinner, shower, have time with family, etc., with this new start time? I'm specifically speaking of the younger kids. How will this impact small business owners, after-school teachers, teachers that would like to make a little extra income by tutoring? How will putting cars on the road after 420 in celebration on Halloween impact the community? It's going to make a dangerous situation at times. I also think of the teachers that have to get on I-4 going home in rush hour traffic at this point with that new time start. 30-30 hold. Spring, we know we get the lightning storms. They've been held on a normal school day till 5 o'clock. Imagine the impact if we have drop-off and pick up at 4:20. It's kind of a snowball effect. So I know you have a job to do, and I appreciate the time that you spend trying to make our district great. That being said, there has to be a different solution to accomplish these goals and to make it more of a win-win for all of us. And I'm not convinced the start time proposal is the answer. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Next, probably not going to get this right. Ms. Flanagan, I've been doing so good today. Flanagan Fedon?
Fedon, yes.
Fedon.
Thank you.
Again, your name and address.
Christy Flanagan Fedden. It's 1106 Bankstros Court in Kissimmee. And I am also a parent in one of the schools, the multi-level schools that's slated to be affected by this time proposal change. I have a son who's in second grade. I have a daughter who is going to be upcoming in kindergarten. So I'm heavily invested in the school district for many years to come. There is, I believe you're aware, a petition that has been circulating. It's been operational for 2 days. We've already garnered about 330 signatures community-wide that are against this time proposal change for some of the reasons that Ms. Wood just mentioned. It was my observation that there's significant negative support that's also been indicated on the Osceola County Facebook page. And I just wanted to reiterate that. It's my understanding that all of you are receiving updates for that. If not, I'm happy to speak to the administrator of that to make sure that you are, so you're aware of the community concerns about this proposal. I also just wanted to mention a couple of my own personal observations, both as a parent as well as a professional. I think we need to be aware of research-driven outcomes that are likely to result as a result of these changes. I think without a doubt, if we're pushing the dismissal time back by 35 minutes, it is very clear that this is going to affect extracurricular activities one way or the other, whether we're talking about organized activities or whether we're talking about just good old-fashioned downtime. There's a mountain of research, and I've indicated this to my letter to Ms. Castillo. I'm sure you're all aware of this as being involved in education, that children's well-being is directly research supported, associated with their emotional development, their educational success, having sufficient leisure activities, whether they're organized or informal, is also directly associated with minimal effects of depression, anxiety, etc. So I think we all understand that there are budgetary concerns. It was presented to us that this potentially presents a savings of $2 million. At the end of the day, we have to consider ultimately the well-being of our children, because that's why we're here. And we're obviously interested in promoting good outcomes for our children in a holistic fashion. But beyond that, I also want to reiterate the fact that for working parents, this is an extremely untenable proposal. I work as does my husband, so it creates this sort of chasm of what we would do with our children to have such a late start day. I know at our particular school, the extended care is full. There simply is no room. Aside from the fact they're a very large school, and there isn't, even if they had the resources, there just simply isn't room to put them because we are a school of 1,500 people and approximately 80 people can be seated in the lunchroom adequately. So again, I ask you to seriously reconsider this proposal. We in the community also would welcome you to have a more formal ability to speak to you about this. There are many schools that you reached out to. I know that my school was not one of them, even though we are directly affected by this proposal. And it's my understanding that the president of our SAC organization wants to reach out to you to convene an emergency meeting, and I would urge you to be amenable to that, to have an opportunity to speak to you more formally. Thank you very much.
What school?
Thank you. Celebration School.
Oh, Celebration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Santana?
Good evening. I'm Robin Santana, and I'd like to bring a different perspective.
Ms. Santana, give us your
Can you-
address for the record, too, please.
I live at 2224 Rambling Oaks Way in Kissimmee, and my child also attends the multi-level school. But I want to bring a different perspective, and I am really against the change or the proposal for this reason. I utilize school choice. I went to the school choice fair with my son, and my son scores 5s on the FSA. He is a very high achieving child. So for me, school choice is very important. And I chose the school that would meet his needs the best that I could. For me, I was really dismayed when we attended the school choice fair because I asked Ms. Simmons at the fair, my child, he's going into 6th grade. So I asked her whether, and she's, if you're not aware, she's the extended day director for the district. And she smugly told me that, or I shouldn't say it like that, but she told me that it was not an option for my child to utilize extended day past 5th grade. Well, we have an expression in our family about dropping kids off like newspapers. I'm not that mother, okay? So to send my child, I already knew that I would have an hour. There are no other options for childcare in the area. And I already knew that it was, all right, honey, I'll have to give you $10 a day, go to Starbucks, sit there for a while. And would you do that to your child? I mean, it's just, it's something that I've really been struggling with. And I think that the fact that there is nothing available and the thought of days when it's storming out or days when he'll be there for 2 hours probably alone, that's another thing that I would hope that you would consider. Even extending or having options available. Only one other school at the school choice fair, actually he really wanted my kid because he's so incredible. But only one other school told me that they have it was an after-school program. But at this point, I think it's really important, if you're going to do something that's going to really impact families, then you ought to have options, whether it's partnerships with Boys and Girls Clubs or what have you, but have something for the kids to have. Otherwise, you're going to have kids just out and about, and that's when problems occur, especially if you know. So I just want you to consider that, and I think that it's not fair to children like him who are really doing very well and are contributors to their school environment to have them sitting outside like newspapers that are just dropped off. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for your comments. We appreciate them. Brings us to agenda modifications. Superintendent, Mr. Kreppelbach, or anybody, board members, any changes?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yep. First, before anybody leaves, just thank you guys for sharing your feelings and your concerns tonight. They are heard and will be taken into account, so thank you. Board, I would like to pull from consent item 10.10 under Business of Finance. And then under board comment, I will add National School Board Association regarding IDEA funding and FSBA regarding school safety and security, a joint meeting I'll participate in Tallahassee this week.
Mr. Chairman, I was actually going to ask to pull 1010 as well, but certainly Mr. Weishar's already done that. I would concur. But I do not approve of his additional comments at the end. I'm joking. That's fine, I'm good.
You're allowed to say overruled, Mr. Chairman.
And I've got some additional comments at the end, just under board member comments on something from the Central Florida School Board Coalition on fire drills. So, which I don't know that we really need changes on that, but that's okay. The board, I'll entertain a motion then. There's no other changes.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Weisauer with a second by Mr. Booth to approve the agenda with the additional removal of item 10.10 from the consent agenda. Board, any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. That will bring us to item 10.10. Mr. Weisauer.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Board, for indulging me on this. There's a recommendation for us to extend our contract with Gallagher for 1 year. What I want to propose is that instead what we do is we extend it for a 3-month period and that we move forward with an RFP process to see what other options can be brought to the table. As you know, our benefits and everything that we're working on in this area is something that is evolving and something that we're trying to take a hard look at. And before locking into another 1-year contract, I would rather us make sure that what we do fits in line with our overall plan and perspective of where we're going to go for everything we're looking at. So my recommendation and my motion, I should say, would be that we, I guess technically I need to make a motion to deny the recommendation for a 1-month extension and instead make that as a 1 year and instead make that a motion for a 3-month extension to the contract.
So do we need one motion to deny?
I would second that, and I'll say this, because I actually agree with Mr. Weisauer on this. I don't like it when these contracts come forward with 1-year extensions, and we're coming to the end of our contract, and we add a bunch of work the week before we're going to vote on it. That's not how we should be doing things. I don't like that when that happens. I've seen it happen here several times in the past, and we've spoke about it several times in the past. That doesn't mean, however, that I don't think Gallagher has done some quality work for us. I certainly am not saying that. I just don't like to operate in this manner, and I would agree and concur with Mr. Weisauer that 3 months is enough.
Could I make a recommendation?
Yeah, please.
You want to break them apart?
Yeah, what I'd like you to do is let us pull it and bring it back with a different, and I want to tell you why. We have to make sure that we have something in place while we're doing the RFP.
Okay.
And I got to make sure that 3 months is adequate time, and we don't have the, purchasing people here and everybody go, okay, guys, this is what we got to do, and the recommended the superintendent, we can get it done and then bring it back to you.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is we pull it tonight. It is clear, I think, from looking at you, the votes are there not to approve this. So we will go back and get this in an order where you can make a vote and achieve what you want, but we know we have coverage. Particularly since you have a workshop coming up. You have a workshop coming up on the health care issues, so it kind of timely works to do that.
My question is that if we opt to pull it from the agenda instead of taking action, can we still move would we still have the ability or the flexibility to consider an RFP or anything like that?
Absolutely. Well, I think we're getting.
It's going to come back.
Yeah, I
probably
think
a recommendation similar to what we're
by the way, you can vote it down tonight, but you don't need to if you pull it, because I think we understand the direction, just looking at each of you, to come back with. It's just, we got to make sure these pieces
Absolutely.
fit and they work for you.
Chair, I'm fine with that. My intent's been clear, and what I expect to happen is clear.
And I'd just like to add that again, I think Gallagher has done some great work for us, and they may continue very well to do that. But certainly, just to put every other person on notice, vendor, I don't like this contract coming up, adding a year of work on the end of a contract. Smart business plan, but not the way I like to operate here.
And not just throw in my 2 cents. I'm in agreement. I would have pulled this had 2 of you not worked down the line and gotten to it. But my concern is with $1 million runaway, $1 million a month in additional cost, everything, and I mean everything, has to be looked at in healthcare very hard right now. So,
I agree with the chair.
all right. We need kind of motion to pull this, or just?
I think the chair could just pull it. I will tell you.
I'll remove this and send it back to staff.
My recommendation is, Dr. Bay, we'll attempt to be ready to also speak about this issue at the workshop coming up, so we can brief you before we ever get to another meeting on the topic.
Okay. Let me just, I think we're all on the same page. Let me be clear what I want to see at our very next meeting and/or workshop. Number one, a timeline and outline for an RFP process for this. Also, an extension of this contract that's mutually agreeable. I won't agree to anything more than 3 months, so understand what mutually agreeable means. And then from there, the board will have our bigger conversation about what we need to do in this arena. And by the way, I agree with everything Mr. Booth said as well. None of this is I don't have any issues. It's just the way we go about it and what we approve and what we're trying to deal with. Now's not the time to approve a 1-year extension.
That being said, we will move on. Brings us to our informational agenda items. These are both in our packets. Anybody have any questions? Any board members have any questions or?
I would like to make one comment about 1102, and I did see, and Sarah, would you agree with the minutes of the change in what you believe the impact fee revenue will be?
Yes, we did have extensive discussion about what to set that amount at. We do think we've seen a bump in impact fees over the last several months, but we don't expect that to continue on forever.
Sure.
So
it was a big jump. That's why I just
Yes,
when I was going through the agenda, I wanted to make sure.
We have seen a big jump in the
Okay.
first 3 months of those
Good.
revenues coming in.
Chair, if I may,
Sure.
let me just jump on that real quick. Sarah, I haven't been on the Business Advisory Board for a couple of years now. When I was there, we tried to always have a very conservative outlook on how we did our projections. I assume that's the case. Is the Business Advisory Board taking a very conservative, long look on the real estate market and what's going to happen in the out year, meaning not 19, but going into 20 and beyond?
Yeah, so the recommendation that we made at the last meeting was simply to increase this year's current revenue estimate. And at the next meeting, February or March, we'll take a closer look at how we want to set the next 5 years as far as our forecast going forward for the next 5-year budget.
Okay. And who sits on our BOB now from us? You? Are you carrying the water for us? I'm kidding. I'm glad to come and speak at that Business Advisory Board meeting as well from my perspective of what I deal with in the professional arena and the things that I think they should have in mind if it's of value. If not and they've got it, I'm fine. I don't need another meeting on my schedule, but I'm certainly glad to talk about it. This is what I do on a national level. So
It'd be worthwhile if you did. I'll just turn that meeting over to you. I won't go.
Okay.
I missed last week.
I don't know when the next meeting
You're
is.
always welcome. It's the fourth Wednesday of the month at 7:30 a.m.
I'm busy. I can't be there. I'm sorry. I'll take a look at it and let you know.
What we can do, too, is we'll make sure, Mr. Weissier, that Lou sends you the invitation.
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases you, I'll make a motion to approve 12.06.
I have a motion on the floor. Second?
Second.
Have a, excuse me, a motion by Mr. Booth to approve item 12.06 with a second by Ms. Castillo. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, what? Oh, opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Tim. I thought you'd. That brings us to attorney comments or issues. I know we have a meeting in a few minutes, but we will, anything before that meeting?
Yes, just one report at a workshop. Mr. Weisher asked that I meet with Dana regarding our storing of social media, et cetera. I met with her, and I will tell you that I believe she is doing an outstanding job of complying with what is a very confusing topic when it comes to the public records.
Okay.
Noted and appreciated.
Dr. Pace? Nothing else. Brings us to board member comments. Mr. Weishaar, I think you said you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to update the board. I just returned from Washington, D.C. the other day with the National School Boards Association. As you know, in my role with the Florida School Board Association, I serve as one of the delegates on the national level. We were up there working on advocating for funding for IDEA. What I would share with you is a couple things. Number one, it's a big lift, and there is a misunderstanding in the education community across America as to what full funding of IDEA looks like. And so we're working right now to try to ensure that school board members across the United States are aware of what that narrative needs to look like going forward, because sometimes they're going in and saying, unless we get what's considered a full 40% funding from the federal government, then somehow the federal government is robbing us. And that's not the intent of the original law that was passed. The second part is I wanted to bring to your attention, I'll be working on this, and hopefully you guys will participate as well to the extent possible. And what I'm getting at is the legislative agenda of the National School Boards Association, in my humble opinion, is convoluted and is going to cause more damage than good. In some areas, when you talk about IDEA, for instance, they're right on target in what it is that they're working towards. The problem for me is that the organization then delves into a number of very hot item, politically charged issues that don't directly tie to education, but yet in an ancillary way touch education. And you guys know, because you're all experienced in working with the legislature and Congress, you know that if you walk into a Republican and you say, I want you to fund IDEA, and oh, by the way, I'm against everything else you're for, it doesn't work. And if you walk into a Democrat and you say the exact same or opposite, it doesn't work. And so my argument has been that we need to stay in our lane as an organization. We need to make sure we're touching and working on the things that directly impact education in America. And as we have this conversation, as you guys are a part of the Florida School Boards Association work, the more voices we have in the room to help advance that narrative, the better off we're going to be. And we know that there is significant funding that is tied to the Federal Department of Education, and if we're not successful in that, it has a direct impact on the work we're trying to achieve here. So I wanted you guys to be aware. It was a decent trip. There was moderate success with it. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but I welcome your support in the endeavor.
Ricky Johnson? No,
I had Florida School Board Association. I just wanted to, again, my intent in these is just to keep you guys apprised of what I'm working on, or the conversations that are taking place, because as I said at the very beginning, I value you guys as partners and what it is we're all trying to work to achieve. In a day or so, I don't remember, Tuesday, Wednesday, I go up to Tallahassee to meet with the Association of Counties, the League of Cities, and the Florida School Boards in a joint officer meeting to have conversations regarding what's going to happen in the upcoming legislative session with regard to school safety and security. Part of that conversation will center around who's responsible for what, where should funding go, where shouldn't it go, who makes what decisions, whether that be between SROs, guardians, and other things. I'm not looking for anything specific from you guys tonight. I just wanted to make sure you were aware that conversation is happening. As active members at the Florida School Boards Association, I know you guys will continue to be engaged in that work. I know Terry and Clarence, you guys have very specific roles, I believe, within FSBA now, whether it's legislative or board of directors. And so this conversation is going to continue. I believe tomorrow morning I'm on a call with the executive officers for the state to work through some of the framework around that conversation that will be happening on Thursday and Friday. The other reason I brought it up is that as we had a conversation with the executive committee of the Florida School Board Association, one of the things that was brought up is which school districts have taken an official stance on what we do or don't want to see happen with regard to school resource officers funding, and then who ultimately is or isn't in charge in certain areas. And one of the things that I'd share with them is that our school board hadn't taken an official stance yet on that, but we've been working through a very collaborative process with our sheriff's office, with our police departments, with our cities, and with our county. There should have been, I think, a survey that went out, or if not, it's going out as we speak, to all the school board chairs across the state to see if there was indeed an opinion rendered from any one of the 67 school boards. So again, just putting that on your radar. We don't have to solve anything with it tonight, but again, it's an important conversation. I know you guys have been leaders in the state on this conversation, so I want to make sure you're aware of what was happening.
Thank you. Nothing? Mr. Soto? See, I have one item. Excuse me, this came up at the last Central Florida School Board Coalition meeting, and there's been some meetings of which I believe Mr. Stair has been a part of or had communication with, for the School Safety Specialist Fire Committee. And they've kind of come up with some proposals on some things in the fire code. And the thing I'd really like us to talk about is the fire drill piece. In our code, it says, and I don't know the exact numbers, we'll have to do 5 fire drills, but now 6?
10.
10
the first 30 days.
10 for the year, and now we have to have, other types of drills too. The important part of the drills is leaving the building. If you do a fire code drill this afternoon, or this morning, I'm not sure you need to do the active shooter evacuation. Got to get the gist of what you're doing, I think. But what they had asked us not just us, but this was led by Seminole County. They had asked if, as a board, if we could offer a letter of support. They just want to be able to go as a block and say, we are for getting the number of drills under control. Nobody wants to do anything that's not safe, but cut the number down. Is it to 5 or 6? And a drill's a drill.
I'd like to know Dr. Pace's opinion on this.
And I believe that what Seminole County was proposing as well was different numbers for different levels. So, for example, your elementary school students would have more drills because it's a new process to them, middle school a little less, and then high school a little less, but still there would be regular and consistent and biannual at least fire drills, as well as then more frequent active shooter drills, but that also that there could be some consideration for the fact that drills could look differently. For example, instead of having everybody evacuate the building, you might have a tabletop exercise where everybody talks about what would you do in the event of something like this, or the same thing with an active shooter drill, whereas as opposed to everyone jumping into the hard corner, they might talk through the different steps that you would go through to, gosh, it's escaped me, whatever we do, deny, defend. What's the other one, Lester? Avoid, deny, defend. So, that could look differently, but but moving away from the fact that currently there are supposed to be 2 fire drills and 2 active shooter drills within the first 30 days of school, and then another active shooter drill and another fire drill every month the rest of the school year, as well as a tornado, bad weather drill in February. So the concern was the amount of time that's being lost from instruction as opposed to the value of the safety message.
What is the recommendation out of the coalition?
The ask of the coalition was for everybody to go back and see if they would support, would offer a letter of support on whatever they would support. There's some other stuff in here that Brandy doesn't think we should support. The only piece that I think we should address if we choose to do this is the drill recommendation. I'm sorry, I thought this.
Should it be less, Dr. Pace? I mean, you think it could be less?
I think it could be less and still be safe.
Todd,
Do they have
5 pieces of paper? I thought it was the whole thing for each one of us. It's one set. So we'll get you each a set of this.
Do they have a specific recommendation on how many we should be doing? What are we doing, 10?
10 is a national standard from the 1950s.
Okay.
There is some recommendations, as Dr. Pace said, they're specific by grade level.
Okay.
As far as elementary, middle, and high.
And I think part of the recommendation, Clarence, if I'm not mistaken.
6 at K-5.
Okay, there you go.
It is 6 fire drills for K-5, 4 being physical evacuations, a minimum of 3 physical evacuation be unplanned, that number. 2 drills can be fire prevention training sessions, quarter 2 and 4. 1 physical evacuation drill must be conducted within the first 10 days of the start of the school year. Okay. Secondary, 6-12, 4 fire drills for the school year, 1 each quarter. 3 being physical evacuations, quarters 1, 2, and 3. Minimum of 2 physical evacuation drills should be unplanned. 1 drill can be a fire prevention training sessions, quarter 3 or 4. One physical evacuation drill must be conducted within the first 10 days of the start of the school year. This is the piece, we'll forward this to you on page 3. Fire drill piece is the piece that I'm comfortable with. It could be helpful. But I'm looking for, can't do this unless, I don't know if we need a vote or motion, just a head nod or anything. Up to you guys.
Randy, the 10 is a national recommendation, or are we bound by a statute in Florida?
Bound by the federal fire codes.
Okay.
Pretty much every state.
Okay, so then, Mr. I'm fine with, I support.
This is to go and try and change.
So then, again, we're
federal
taking
level.
that back up to national.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't do any good till it gets there.
Okay. Okay, so we need relief. Okay, I got you.
Dr. Pace says it's good, I'm good.
You have something?
No, I agree. As long as Dr. Pace says it's she's the expert.
I think it would not endanger our students or staff.
Well, with y'all's okay, we'll draft a letter that addresses just the fire drill piece. Dr. Pace will take a look at it, I'll take a look at it, and trust our judgment.
Siri approved, so I.
Yeah, Siri's ready to go.
It's probably done, it's already issued.
And we won't mention that that's our tech guy.
You know what, he did such an outstanding job this morning.
He gets a pass today.
He does get a pass today.
I have one more thing. You go ahead,
Okay.
and we'll do
Mine's
that.
not serious, though.
We'll do yours last. We have our student participant with us tonight. I believe we have 3 meetings, and this is your 3rd meeting, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, this is, yep.
So do you have, the floor is yours, if you'd like to ask any questions, make any comments, tell us what we need to do better.
Yeah, I do have a few thoughts. Since this is my last meeting, I thought I'd reflect on my time here, just give a couple thoughts of what's going through my mind. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that I was impressed by the formality and the systematic processes that go on in the school board. That was something that I wasn't initially aware of coming in, so that was eye-opening. And that brings me into my next point, that I was just also impressed by the efficiency of the school board. It's clear that they don't beat around the bush around issues, but rather they're direct and pretty clear. I know that at school when we have student government meetings, sometimes we can beat around the bush and not actually get anything done or finalized, but that is not the case in the school board. Also, in my time here, I was able to understand more clearly the relationship between the school board and then the superintendent. So that was a good realization. And then I also, some things that I learned sitting on the board here was just the vastness of the different programs and the specific programs that the school board is involved with, from legal matters to financial matters. Just something that I wasn't initially aware of. Talking about, like, when there was a presentation on the stocks, I was like, wow, I didn't know that. Maybe that's because I'm ignorant, but I didn't know that.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's right. And then I just also appreciate the ability to sit on the school board, and then the ability to be in Dr. Pace's senior focus group. Both of those experiences are very valuable, and I appreciate them greatly. So just as final thoughts, I appreciate my time here. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Glad you were here, Matt.
Absolutely.
You know, if Matt wants to come back and talk about anytime, he's certainly welcome.
Matt, before you leave, I need you to execute a release to the district about any claims against Mr. Weisshire.
I've been very kind to my new best friend over here. I was actually going to just take a moment of personal privilege. You're so articulate, and you did such a good job of laying out your points. And I've spent 3 meetings now sitting next to you and working with you, and I'm just so impressed by you. I'm inspired by you, and I'm looking forward to what your future is going to look like and what it is that you're going to create in your particular pathway, and how you're going to lead and serve and guide and make a profound difference in other people's lives. So you're just a sharp young man, and I wasn't half as smart or articulate or nice or any of those things as you are when I was that age, but I'm just so impressed by you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's just say they wouldn't have picked Ricky to be on the dais when he was a senior in high school.
No, they would not.
Truth be told, we barely picked Ricky to be on the
I would like to say this, and Matt, you've been great. Thank you, and you did put it all together there very well. So thank you. I was actually Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'll make my comment now. I just wanted to say, I usually say this up front, but I was too busy thanking all the IT staff and the communication staff, who, by the way, deserved every bit of it. And I've always said this every year since I've been on the board, but not this Friday, but next Friday is Rodeo Day in Osceola County. It is part of what makes Osceola County unique. I've always stated, and I know that there's several of us have very close ties to Rodeo Day, including the superintendent. So as long as she's here, I'm sure that it will be here. And as long as Mr. Thacker and I are here, I'm sure it will be around as well. But going forward, if anybody has to pull these tapes out one day, I want people to know that this is an important day for this community to remember our heritage, to celebrate our heritage. And it is what makes this Osceola County unique, and we should not give that up. Even though our community is changing, it's a very important part of how we got here, so to speak. So anyway, happy Rodeo Day next Friday.
I'm going to add something to that, just because I've been thinking about this. We had a workshop last week on logos.
Yes.
And one thing that's really given me food for thought since we had that session was these younger kids. Many of them, as they did their presentations, have moved here in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. The presentations were incredible. But the thought that they put in, because I always wonder about people that have moved here, in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, that scratch their head and go, what is Rodeo Day? The thought that they put into the heritage and the history of Osceola County, I was kind of awestruck by it, that they had an appreciation for the history of the county even being new, which I found to be very refreshing. And just want to tack that on about Rodeo Day, made me kind of remember that and think about that. And I've been thinking about the different ways they tied the history, the past to the future, as most of them said, the connection.
I'm just still blown away at how good the stuff was.
Yes.
It was great.
Yes, it was absolutely great. Any, Mr. Castillo?
No, but I will say that as someone who is a transplant from Miami, when I got Rodeo Day off, it was the happiest day of my life. So that's probably not going to go away.
A lot of people don't like it.
Yes. We love Rodeo Day.
Trade for President's Day, so
No.
we just throw that in there.
With that, we have an executive session.
Yeah.
It's a closed-door session. We will recess for that. Thank you all. Thank you, those of you who came and made comments. Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing your children.
Yes.
Your 4 daughters.
Yes.
I hope they're not completely disillusioned with this whole thing, but thank you very much for coming.